Mr. Chris Valenti.
Yes, Dominic.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I am good. Nice to be back on the line with you.
Same here.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Us. Yeah, absolutely. Us. Now, Chris, you're from this industry, but people probably know you got a guy named Valenti and a guy named Rubino on the line. You're going to ask, are they related?
You never know.
I think I mentioned to you before, my grandmother's maiden name was Valenti.
Right. You did. You
Yeah.
did.
So
Yeah, I'm sure if we search hard enough, we might find some relationship there.
yeah, some small mountain town perched on a hillside somewhere,
Yep.
making great cheese and sausage.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. But hey, tell us what you do today and how you come to be on the Cabinet Maker Profit System show. What's your background? What's your industry? What do you do?
So I grew up in residential construction. My father was a union carpenter. So I worked, since the early ages, taking scraps off my father's job and building garages for my matchbox cars. And, one thing leads to the next. My father didn't want me to go into the trade, so I ended up going to college and becoming an electrical engineer. So I was in the semiconductor business for several years. Was living in New York. Then I made my way out to Arizona. Worked here for a semiconductor company for about 5 years. And then I had to get back to working with my hands. And that's in 2004 and 5, we started CK Valenti.
Yeah.
The original plan was custom wood and metal fabrication. I got into welding and metalworking and everything, so we wanted to partner the two up. And I left the semiconductor business and we went full-time. 2007, we bought a 4,000 square foot industrial condo. And that's when things got real, moving out of the home garage, as I'm sure a lot of the audience can relate to. Then we kind of built a niche for ourselves in the museum and theming world, high-end commercial work.
Right.
And that's kind of where we've been pushing and trying to get most of our, our sales from. And then, now we're here and COVID hit, and we had to, adjust. When it hit, we knew that some of our business was going to fall off, especially on the museum business. A lot of them are still closed, not opened yet.
Oh, wow.
But I just started looking around and I saw protection barriers being made and sold. And I just said to myself, hey, we could do that. We have the equipment, we have the knowledge. And for the last, since I guess March, when this all started ramping up with this virus, we've been producing protection barriers, shipping them all across the country.
Wow.
Also selling them local. Some of our other work is still happening, but the protection barrier businesses have been, it's been a huge chunk of our workload right now.
So I like that. You mean you started to say, hey, I know how to make things, and there's this opportunity for this thing to be made. You just switched gears into that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we were doing plastic fabrication for our museums already. Like we had a good handle on it. It was just a matter of coming up with a new design. So one of our local government clients had reached out to us and said, hey, what about protection barriers? We might need some. I made a little mini-me version. It was a scaled-down version, like a 1:6 version. Took photos of it, made it look like a real-size version, and just put it out there and see what the response was. And people started wanting them, so we went full scale production mode. That was when we started with a one-piece version.
Yeah.
It wasn't too shipping friendly, so then we developed a 3-piece version. And that we took it to Etsy and eBay. Right. eBay really didn't go anywhere. Etsy exploded. There was a lot to be learned there. And now it's still going. It's tapered off a little bit. The initial surge. Right. But I think another spike is coming from what the chatter I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Especially with the school systems.
So what I heard was that your background in taking old parts from your dad's building business and making matchbox car garages, you made a 1:6 model of this. That's pretty clever. You do it back.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of mini-me's, you know. Try to build, you know, if we can build a mini-me, small scale version, you save time, you save money, and you know, people are visual, right? They can't necessarily relate to drawings, but if they could see a model of it, an actual model, whether it's full size or mini-me version, it's real helpful in selling that product and getting you know, the design across on what you're trying to accomplish.
Well, yeah, I mean, in that, what you've done is, you know, you're thinking like your customer. Customer doesn't necessarily see flat plans,
Right.
and what
Right.
or how it's going to work, or you know, we should actually explain what the protection barrier is because some people may not know what you mean. But let me try to explain it, Chris. Tell me if I got it right. It's that plexiglass barrier that I see at the counter when I walk up to a cash register.
Correct, and the more streetwise term for it is sneeze guard.
Sneeze guard.
Yeah, they're better known as sneeze guards than protection barriers because originally sneeze guards were for like the food industry when you go up to a buffet and it's got that glass covering or that's a sneeze guard, so you're not sneezing all over the food. But yeah, that's the basic thing, and you know, I'm sure all the audience has had some interaction now with that, whether you're going to the local box, you know, store or you're going to a local grocery store. I mean, you know, CDC requires it in many locations. So that's what we're doing. It's shippable. It doesn't require installation. Now, 3-piece unit takes about 10 seconds to set up.
Yeah, and does it require adhesive, or did you make it, you know, interlocking keys?
No, we made like kind of a hook and slot system.
Yeah.
So you interlock the side shields to the front shield, and it drops in place, and you're ready to go. And that's what we wanted to achieve because a lot of people are stressed right now. We wanted to keep it easy, simple. We didn't want people to have to read instructions. You know, we do send out an instruction sheet with it, but it's more about telling about the product and cleaning. Just keep it as simple as possible.
How did you change gears? I mean, because it's first, lots of people heard about this. We were talking about it on this show. There's others, you know, that understand. You're running, was it polycarbonate or plexiglass you're running on the CNC?
You're running both, whatever is available at this point.
Yeah, well, there's shortages, right? But I also found lots of resistance from people saying, you know what, we're not really in that. So good for you for doing that. What did you have to do internally to suddenly ramp up the production of this new product, even if it's a temporary project?
You know, we had to get our shipping down. We didn't have, you know, too much familiarity with shipping the same size over and over. So we deal with Uline for all our shipping supplies. So getting the box sizes down, the method for boxing. Luckily, like I said, a lot of our sales are through Etsy. So they have a pretty good interface for FedEx and USPS. So that takes a lot of the legwork out of it for you. But once we figured out the packaging behind it, it was pretty straightforward. And then we just kind of, you know, reoriented the shop a little bit just so we could lay parts out more than anything else. But everything is, you know, rolling around on carts with casters, so everything's flexible. The 1-piece unit, we do have to thermoform 3 edges of it. Yep. Yeah. So that takes up more floor space. But like I said, we've thermoformed in the past. When COVID hit, I purchased 2 more heating elements. I was able to get them in time, just, you know, seeing where this was going. So I did ramp up a little bit with tooling. Not new tooling, but just, you know, more of what we already had.
Right.
I stocked up on CNC cutters. You know, we went through about 500 sheets of material, so I need a new cutter every 40 to 50 sheets. So ramped up on the cutters. You know, learned out how to run the machine faster with different cutters to, you know, optimize that kind of thing. But I could say we had a good head start, and I realized a lot of shops don't have that. And I'm always more than happy to talk to other shops about that to help them get along because we're not doing anything new here. What we're doing has been done by someone else. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. That's just a waste of time and money.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, well, you and I met through the association.
Right, to the CMA, yeah.
Through CMA, and it's because we all believe in sharing. You know, for too long, I guess it's how you grow as a business, right? You focus, and you put your head down, and you start building in your garage. I think you said you start in your garage, and then you move to the big facility, and suddenly the world opens up. But everyone, has to look around at some point and realize we're all having the same issues. We're all making
Right.
what we're making. We bring our own style to it. We're regionally specific. All of those things are great. You can view everybody as competition, but that would limit me if I viewed it as competition. I need to see everybody as opportunity. Just
Right.
like
Right.
here today, right?
Right. You know, I've tried in the past to reach out to other shops just to visit them.
Yeah.
And they're very apprehensive on the phone. And, you know, I just feel like, you know, we're not making any special joints or miters or, you know, techniques or whatever. I don't believe in that. I think, you know, we're doing all the same thing. And quite frankly, where you're going to excel and win is on the business side, not on the technical side. Not to say you don't need that technical ability and that quality behind you. You do, absolutely. But you have to have the business side on you for the long haul.
I mean, that's exactly what this show is about. I don't claim to be anything technical. I don't want to be anything technical. I rely on you to be the technical and me to bring the business side, right? We're limiting our growth if we think the money's in the sawdust. It's not. It's in
Right.
business, running it
Exactly.
effectively, keeping track of everything and keeping our people happy so they keep producing.
Exactly. And that's how you build the legacy, right?
Yeah, I like it. Legacy. That's the way I think too.
Yeah.
But I just brought up people, which made me think, how hard was it or easy was it for your team to suddenly change mindset from we're making museum displays to we're making, I want to call them sneeze guards now, Chris, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It was fairly easy because the one-piece unit, it's got some thermoforming in it, so there's some fabrication behind it, right? But the three-piece unit, it's a matter of cutting it and packaging it and shipping it. So we transitioned pretty well. Now, keep in mind, we did have to let some of our staff go on like a hiatus just because of COVID hit, and we went to a skeleton crew. We are working on bringing them back currently. Some of them can't come back because you know, they have kids at home, and the kiddos are home right now, right? So that's been a challenge, but we're working through it. You know, I was here the whole time. Luckily, I stayed healthy. The family stayed healthy, and that was important to, you know, maintaining that work output for the sneeze guards, because I mean, we were shipping a few hundred a week, if not more. So to keep up with that, you know, it took some long hours, but we kept up with it. We had no late deliveries. You know, it's a matter of just laying out the plan, getting everybody on the same page, seeing where everybody's at. You know, like I said, it was a stressful time for everybody. You know, we had to have conversations like, if you're feeling sick, please don't come in. That kind of thing, you know, so, and it's all new territory for us, right? We don't have training on this. We're figuring it out as we go. So, Chris, you know, like I said, we stayed healthy, but
we like to say we're building this airplane as we're flying it.
Yeah, literally. Luckily, we're flying it on the ground though.
How is the labor situation? You're in Arizona, right?
Correct, Arizona. The labor situation definitely needs improvement, and I think this is a nationwide thing. But you know, we struggle with finding both, you know, the shop helper and the craftsman, and it's been a continual struggle. We do cater to the high end of the market, so our quality has to be there. If it's not there, you know, that's what we live and die by, is our quality. That's what we're known for. That's how we get all the referral work. That's why we have continuous repeat clients.
Right. And talking about more than the museum and theme market, you're talking about residential or commercial? What?
Both residential and commercial. We still are in residential work, but we are targeting the high end commercial. You know, it's just there's a couple different things going on. You know, our schools don't teach the trades anymore, and if your school's not teaching it and you're not learning it at home, well, where are you going to learn it?
Yeah.
You know, so maybe YouTube, I don't know, but we're not seeing the younger generation be interested in this like they were 15, 20, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's hurting. And, the business is there. It seems like, we're always searching for that happy medium, right? The right amount of business and the right amount of, manpower.
Yeah.
And right now we have a lot of business, but we don't have a lot of manpower.
There's something that you're doing out there in Arizona that's kind of unique on the people front, because just like you don't seem to be the guy that waits around. You go make things happen. And
I try. It takes a lot of energy, but that's the plan.
yeah, well, and you saw COVID hit, and so you switched gears a little bit and you went to the protection barriers, but you also saw a bit of a labor shortage, or skilled labor shortage, and you started something called Breakout.
Correct. So, like you mentioned, I grew up working with the scraps off my father's job. I'd go at the end of the day, my mom would bring me down, and, I'd grab, little pieces of 1x or 2x and,
yeah,
nail it all together. No nail guns at that time, but nail it all together with a bunch of 8-penny finish nails. And, that's how I grew up. That's how I started in this business. And, I guess several years ago, I was just, thinking to myself, well, how did I get into it? And how do I get today's kids into it? And that's when I came up with an advanced version of my scrap blocks that I got from my father's job. And we basically put this random box together. I don't want to call it a kit because there's no instructions. There's no wrong or right way to put the pieces in this box together. That's where your imagination comes in. And we call it Breakout of the Box. And like I said, it's a random shoe-sized box of all miscellaneous parts that we cut on the laser, we cut on the table saw. We'll buy wire, we'll buy nuts and bolts, nails, plastic, just very random. And we put this out there to the Phoenix area and surrounding cities. And basically, we give them this kit, and we give them 2 to 3 weeks to go build something from their imagination. After that time period, they come back and they get judged, and it's a totally free event.
Yeah.
We have sponsors. Our sponsors keep on increasing yearly. And, they show up with their creation, what we call it. They do a little write-up on it, so there's some legwork behind that, and they have to present it. And we recruit judges, 5 judges from different industries: construction, architecture, design, and they judge these pieces. They're blown away every year by what's actually created from the box. And the main goal is, let's get these kids introduced to working with their hands,
right,
in some form. And that's how I was introduced to it. Where they go after that, that's totally up to them. Some, you may never touch the box ever again. And some may say to their parents, hey, Mom and Dad, let's go to a local box store. I want to get more of these supplies. And we actually tell them, come back, run through our scrap bins. You're more than welcome to have it for free. We got plenty of scraps that I'd rather see go into some creation than get put in the dumpster.
So, Chris, this sounds like an amazingly well thought out program. I could see the creativity, because I know what my son is like when you hand him a box of random things and he just plays with it. And it's just, kids need that kind of, we all need it. We all need that challenge where put something together. So you put this program together. If I wanted to do this in my own town, my own city, my own state, what would I do?
I would say you just give me a call and let's talk about it. We don't necessarily have a manual yet, and the more inquiries I get, we should probably develop a manual. My wife is the brains behind the organization. She has streamlined it. It's a well-run operation. She's a project manager by trade, so that's her world. Yeah. I cut the parts. I figure out what the parts got to look like. That's where I excel. But yeah, I would say just give me a call. I've talked with several other shops over the phone across the country. And like I said, we're working on a manual. The last person that inquired, wanted a really detailed roadmap for what we do and how we do it. And, right now a lot of it's up here.
Yeah.
And both mine and my wife's head. And, we don't have it on paper, but we're working on it. But, a half an hour phone call with me, and you're going to be well off. I can assure you that. The kit is fairly simple. It's nothing another shop can't create. You know, and we're always looking to help other shops partner if we have to. Like I said, we've shown what we've done, and other shops have implemented some of the things we've done. And you know, what's the do's and don'ts? We learned about that. You know, the kids show up and pick up these boxes. There's no guarantee they're going to come back with something. And, you know, the box has probably got a monetary value of about $60 to $70 between the parts and the labor into creating that box. Yeah. So we have, you know, this is geared for 6th to 8th grade, by the way.
Yep.
And we have these kids basically sign a little contract that you're going to build something, come back with it. There has to be accountability, right? We're lacking a lot of that right now in today's generation. So we have the kiddos sign it, we have the parents sign it. So they're you know, they're making sure that
they're going to follow.
They get it done.
Said they're going to do.
Yeah. We naturally have some fallout. We learned what that fallout is, and it's just part of the, you know, part of the system. It's going to be what it's going to be.
You know, just as you're telling this story about the breakout, you call it breakout program. You know, my son's got a friend, really good kid, but unfortunately his father passed away 2-3 years ago. And so the kids were building ramps in the backyard, drywall screws and 1x and 2x, just like you were talking about.
Yep.
So 1x2 because of the Christmas decorations I like to build. And so I handed him the drill and I said, hey, do you want to try putting the screw in? And he hesitated before he picked up the drill. Never touched one.
Right.
And then
that's the problem.
The very first thing you hear is because he didn't push down enough, you know, by the
right.
Kind of had it. But I think, how simple is it? I've been showing my son how to do it because that's what you do, right? But
right.
Kids don't ever get exposed to it, or they live in an apartment and they can't get their hand on tools.
Right.
And, you know, just the kind of things that we would take for granted the way we grew up, not everybody grew up. So they don't get exposed to these things. And, you know, schools right now teach everybody should be a computer engineer. Everybody should make software and video games. That's not for everybody.
Correct.
It's never going to be for everybody. You know, you got
correct.
Hands.
And there's just a bad sentiment going around, and it's been for a while, about how you can't make money in the trades, and that's just not true. Whether you want to be a welder or a carpenter, in the right market, you could do very well and have no student debt.
Yeah, exactly. That's doing even better when you calculate the cost of that debt over time.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I think both of those are great takeaways for us here on the show. I appreciate your time, Chris. And again, I'd have to give a plug to the CMA because I call them quite often for guests, and they put your name forward. You know, because I said, you know, tell me somebody who's done really interesting things with COVID dropping on our heads, and your name was the first one that popped up. But what I think about of those associations is if people aren't joining those associations, they're just shooting themselves in the foot, because you've got to look outside and get great ideas and conversations with other business owners about what they're doing and how you could do it different. And then I have to share my information with them, and we just all get better.
Absolutely. You know, I was on the CMA just last week. I need a new office printer. So who would think to go to the Cabinet Makers Association to ask about an office printer? Well, shops just like me have offices, and they have office printers, right? So instead of me going online and doing a ton of research that could take hours, right? I said, hey, what are you guys using for office printers? I probably got 8 to 10 replies on what printer to possibly look at. And, you know, you start getting so many replies, you start to see a common theme of what's good and what's not good. And that took me 10 minutes. I mean, it took me 5 minutes to do the post and probably another 5-10 minutes to read everyone's reply. Now I have data on what works. You know, they already did the legwork, and vice versa, right? I might post something up there as well on legwork that I did. So whether it's making a special miter joint or looking for an office printer, the CMA's been very powerful. I mean, my membership is $275 a year. I just renewed. And, you know, look at what your shop time is an hour. You can burn $275 very quickly.
Very fast.
Not having that kind of feedback, right? I've been a member since AWFS when it was in Las Vegas, either 2006 or 2007, and it's just it's just invaluable. I mean, the questions there's no question that cannot be asked.
Yeah.
It's all been done.
Well,
and to get that amount of response, and for just all variations from guys across the whole country, it's just been great.
Yeah. And then you've got the context that they're running things generally the way you run them, with the same kind of application.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're all doing the similar thing, whether we're not a cabinet shop, but we do cabinets. There's 10 different ways to build a cabinet box, and you can go on the CMA and you can find all 10 different ways. What works, what doesn't work. Why reinvent the wheel?
Yeah. I have a Facebook group called Contractor Strategy Group, and it's the same thing. In too many trades, people don't have anybody they can talk to. And
Right.
if you work in a small town and you work in the south end of that town, your world starts to look like the south end of that town, and you don't want to talk to the guy you're going to see at the supplier, because it might be a little too close in people's minds. But you've got to get out there and talk to other people and put those questions out there, because like you said, it's another business owner who's got some of the same opportunities in front of them, some of the same hurdles they have to jump, and they've already made the decision. You don't have to go and reinvent the wheel. So now all we have to do is negotiate the color. The shape is
right. I like to say I need to get out of my cave. The shop office is a cave, and we come here and we're comfortable here and we kind of hide in it, but you got to get out there for that, building that for the long haul, the legacy. You got to build that business side. You got to talk to these other shops, see what they're doing, what they're not doing. How do they set up their shop? How do they streamline it? Where have they lost money? How do we stop working Sunday night, right?
Hey, you just brought up something interesting, which is shop rate. I wonder how many people have calculated, if my shop was a man, how much is it per hour?
Yeah.
Number 275. For some guys, it's $120. And for some people, it's $275, $800, depending on what your setup is. But as a shop, I need to know what my shop rate is per hour. And then that changes depending on how many people I have working in that hour. When you don't know that number, that money just floats out no matter what.
Yeah, exactly. And that shop rate changes based on how many hours you're booking. What about if you're having a low year and you don't book the amount of hours you anticipated? How do you adjust for that? So that's something that the CMA covers over and over, because that shop rate is just, it's kind of a basic fundamental on how a lot of our shops like us operate, is having that shop rate in place. And, some guys have profit built in, some guys don't. It's just, but there's always those hidden costs that it seems like a lot of shops, especially the newer people in the industry, don't account for. And at the end of the year, they didn't make any money and they're wondering why. I've been there. I don't have it all figured out, but knowing to look and ask questions is huge.
Yeah.
And you got to get past that hurdle.
Yeah. Let's use that as a takeaway. Anybody listening to this show right now who just looked at a 10-hour job and realized they lost $2,000, go back and figure out, maybe you have a $200 per hour shop rate and you didn't calculate it into the bid. And then if you're saying to me, hey, Dom, but I'm not going to win the bid if I'm that high, then I'm going to come back to you again and say, you need to go after a different account, or you need to bid and only win the jobs that'll allow you to stay open.
Right. Which goes to tracking your time properly. I'm always on the guys to make sure they're logging in and out of the proper jobs. Because if we can't if we don't measure it, we can't fix it. So we have to measure it properly to be able to see what the gains and losses are. And from there, then we could start analyzing the data properly.
You sound like me, Chris. I don't care what the number is. I just want to know the number. I don't care.
Yeah.
Number is. I just want to know the number, and then we can talk about the number. But we got to figure out the number first. Go from there.
Right. Exactly.
Let's end on this. If somebody wants to contact you about that very cool breakout box that you've created, how do they find you?
I would say you can go to our webpage. We have a contact form on there, and that email comes directly to me. It's ckvalentidesigns.com. And we also have our number listed up there. So you could email, you could call. Either way works. More than happy to, tell you where I've gone wrong, where I've gone right, and help you, hopefully not do the same mistakes that we've already done. You know, that's the idea, is pass forward the knowledge we learned, and hopefully you'll be one step ahead.
I think you already used the word, Chris, when you said legacy. I can imagine running this program today and you're just going to get forgotten over the next 10 years. And then one day you're never going to know it. But somebody from that program shows up at your shop, and through a story they tell 3 years later at a barbecue, they say, when I was a kid, I had this really cool box and I built it. And the owner would just be in the background with pride going, oh my God, that was me. I got
that. That's the ultimate. That's what we're looking for right there. That's the ultimate reward. And this year, you know, with COVID, we're probably going to have to figure out a virtual solution, because it does happen in the first week of November.
Right.
So it's coming up quick. So right now we're discussing, you know, maybe they pick up the box, they stay at home, they film it with their parents' phone, present the video, and we have judges look at it. It's going to happen. How, we're not sure yet, though.
Hey, man, as long as it keeps happening, you know, it started in times of trouble and times of stress. And then when times get better again, boom, it'll just shoot out of there. And no matter leaving a legacy, somebody's been impacted somewhere.
Yeah. It's we get tons of positive feedback, and that's just fuel to keep on going for the next year. And we're getting some pretty strong sponsors too. So some of them, some of the big construction companies, because they're feeling this same thing that even the small shops are feeling.
Right. I know we're approaching the end of our interview, but I have to think, anybody listening who says, I don't know what I could post to social media about because what we're doing isn't very exciting. We're just building another kitchen. We're just building another vanity. When you get to go out to the community and say, hey, here's a box we built, you know, a project box for students, that's got a lot, it's got what we call in marketing a long tail of interest. You can put out a lot of information around that, built around your own company brand, for your shop in Kansas, for your shop in Carlsbad, wherever you are. And it just lends itself and shows you as bigger than just bidding on jobs and trying to crank out product. You're leaving, as you said, Chris, I'll steal your word, leaving a legacy. So
absolutely. And in the end, we're helping our industry, right? It's not just about us here internally, but we're helping our industry, that if we can share this knowledge with today's younger generation and get them into the trades, whether it's your shop, my shop, the shop down the block, there's that much better chance that they will be able to hire a qualified person.
Excellent. Well, Chris, thank you very much for joining us for the show. I appreciate it. For everybody listening, it's CK Valenti Designs.
Correct.
And if you're driving and you can't write that down, come back to the website. And in the show notes section, the podcast show notes section, Chris's domain name will be there. And of course, that's at cabinetmakerprofitsystem.com. All right, Chris, thank you so much. Look forward to meeting you face-to-face one day.
Yeah, same here, Dominic. And thank you for having us. And let's hopefully do this again sometime in the future.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care.